This is Exoscribe Radio, and you're listening to Kusha Karvandi. In today's podcast, I interview Sean Croxton from Underground Wellness. Sean is an expert on nutrition, has published the book The Darkside of Fat Loss, and his Underground Wellness Radio podcast is in the top 5 for health and fitness on iTunes. So I'm with my man Sean Croxton from Underground Wellness. Welcome to Exoscribe Radio.
Thanks for having me. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, definitely. I've had the pleasure of knowing you for a little while now, and for our audience, I think it'd be cool to just kind of get a brief background about how you got into Underground Wellness.
Let's see. Well, I went to college and I studied kinesiology, fitness, nutrition, and health. I graduated. I did really well in my classes, and I graduated, and I thought I knew everything there was to know about fitness, nutrition, and health, and became a personal trainer, and turned out that I didn't really know anything. And so I had been applying what I learned in my college classes to my clients, and they just weren't getting the results that I had expected. They were still gaining weight. They weren't feeling any better, just with their health in general, and there was a lot of disappointment involved. But of course, me being the know-it-all certified personal trainer, I had figured that my clients just weren't doing what they were supposed to do. And so that went on for a couple of years. And at some point I was like, there's too many people who are failing on this program. Let me figure out what's going on here. So I started reading information and books and websites and stuff by people who were doing the complete opposite of what I had been doing. And so I learned some cool stuff, applied it to myself, worked really well, applied it to my clients, it worked really well. So I kind of took it and ran with it. And then what coincided with that was the whole invention of YouTube. And YouTube was really new at the time, and I just started making videos, teaching people, or sharing, I should say, what I had learned through my own personal studies. And people liked it. And, fast forward almost maybe 7 years, 6-7 years, and now here we are with a podcast and ebook and all these online events that we do, and it's been a lot of fun.
That's awesome. Yeah, I remember. I think you told me your roommate, for Christmas bought you a webcam or something. That's how it all started.
Such a random gift, so random. He probably got it from a Christmas party he went to. It was like, what am I going to do with this? I'm just going to give it to Sean. And it was a real janky. It was like the kind that you plug into it and you put on the top of your computer, and it had a wire that had the whole earpiece. It was real gangster looking, but it was enough to get the job done. And people always ask me what do I need to start a YouTube channel? I'm like, I started my YouTube channel with the most piece of junk webcam ever made, and here we are.
Yeah, no, that's crazy. Just how organic your stuff went kind of viral, because the content is just so good. I think that a lot of people really like to follow your stuff just because the content is just so clear, and you keep everything really straightforward. That's what I like most about it. It's very simplified, especially in a space with so much obscurity. It's just so much noise that I like how you bring it just to layman's terms for people to really understand how to get things done.
Thank you. That's how you affect the most people. Because I think as fitness and health experts, I think sometimes we forget how much we know and where we started at. I remember the day when I was in college and had no idea what protein was. You know what I'm saying? What? There's protein in eggs? Really? I didn't even know. What does that do? And, your average person out there doesn't know anything about anything when it comes to health and fitness. So we kind of have to rewind and say, okay, I need to explain this at, this is not to offend anybody, but at an 8th grade level. And when you do that, people go, oh my God, I get it. And they resonate with it and they want to continue to tune in.
Yeah, that's true. I really like the JERF saying, that acronym, just eat real food. How did that come about?
Well, maybe this was 3-4 years ago, and I had just become so disenchanted with the whole health space, especially the food space, because it was a time, and I'm not sure if this still goes on because I really don't pay as much attention anymore, but it was a time where bloggers were beefing with other bloggers. And it was like battle rap. You know what I'm saying? How rappers will Nas versus Jay-Z, LL Cool J versus this guy. It was blogger on blogger, hate. And, I was just thinking about, am I contributing to this with the podcast and with my videos? And hey, if my mom, went online one day and just wanted to learn how to eat, what would she find? She would find this stupidity that's going on online with people and their egos and whatnot saying you're wrong and I'm right. And so, I just thought about it and I said, hey, I mean, if we look back at maybe Weston A. Price, who in the 1930s, traveled around the world looking at native populations who hadn't been exposed to, white flour, white sugar, table salts, pasteurized milk, processed foods in general, and looked at their health. He found, superb health, and the common denominator amongst them all, they didn't have heart disease and cancer and all these things, dental cavities, all this stuff. The common denominator amongst them all was that they just ate real food. You had some people who were higher in carbs. You had some people like the Inuit who had mostly fat diet. You had the Maasai of Africa who, drank cow's blood and cow's milk, had a very high fat diet. And they all just enjoyed superb health. And so I said, hey, why don't we just do what they did? Let's not worry about macronutrient ratios and all of that stuff. And let's just get back to basics and just eat real food. And, and I wrote that blog. The name of it was This is Silly. I just talked about how silly all this stuff is. And I remember I was sitting on my couch. I lived downtown in Entrada. And I was sitting on the couch and I was going, should I post this? I was like scared to post it. And that's actually how I get with everything, actually. But I just do it anyway. And I clicked the publish button. I just was just hoping. I probably went to fit after and worked out. And I got home and I was looking, I was like, wow, there's really good feedback because people out there are feeling the same way that I do about this whole ridiculousness of the food and health movement. And from then on, it just became DERF. And, people, I looked at the hashtag on Instagram the other day. It was like 190,000 posts there with DERF hashtag, and it was really, really cool.
That's so awesome. So what are your thoughts then on things like paleo then?
I like paleo. Paleo is really eating real food. I mean, that's what it is. I'm not that big on naming, putting myself in the box and calling myself paleo or calling myself Atkins or calling myself Weston A. Price because I think that kind of puts you in a box. And also at the same time, when you say to an average person, paleo, it tends to get you into some type of evolutionary debate, and it also gets you to this debate of, well, cavemen only lived to be 20 years old. And it just starts too much static. So I feel like it's just so much easier to say, hey, I just eat real food. You can't argue with that. Hey, I ate meat, poultry, fish, shellfish, dairy if tolerable, fruits, vegetables, some good fats, and I'm good to go. You got a problem with that. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And I think that's one of the reasons why it's caught on, because you don't have to explain yourself. It's just, hey, I eat real food and just leave me alone. Let me do my thing.
Yeah, no, that's so true. What does a day in the life of Sean Croxton look like then, in terms of your diet?
Oh, man. It can vary a little. Today I literally had a bit of bacon and nothing else.
Nice.
Sometimes I'll get up and throw down a shake. There's this shake, this protein powder that I get down. People are probably going to say, oh, protein powder isn't real food. But hey, if you're busy and you want to eat some high quality stuff, there's a grass-fed, I can't remember the name of the company, grass-fed protein powder that I have with some coconut milk. So I might slam that right after the workout. Lunch may be, I really like pork belly, or it could be some crab. I'm known for king crab. I can eat king crab literally every meal of the day. It's kind of pricey. Throw a little bit of vegetables, later on in the day I have something very similar to my lunch: pork belly, lamb, maybe a sweet potato, maybe some asparagus, some broccoli, drink butter. That's what my diet pretty much looks like. It's very simple. I don't really have all these cookbooks that Victory Belt sends me, and I'll flip through them, but I very seldom actually sit back or get into the kitchen and make a full recipe. I just keep it real simple. Steak is like making a pancake. One side, flip it over, you get to go. Eating some crab, you just open it up. So it's a very, very simplified type of diet.
Where would you say you learned most about nutrition? Or are there certain books, certain people?
Where have I learned most, or what have I learned most?
No, where do you think you've gotten most of your information from? The knowledge that you have today, where does that really come from?
books. I'm a nerd, man. That's what I do all day. That's my job, is I read books. And that's what I set out to do. I was like, what are these? This is when I was first training for 8 years, like doing 40 sessions a week, and there's more than that sometimes. And I was like, man, my dream job is to sit around and read books all day. And then at some point it was like, sit around and read books all day and interview the host or interview the author. And so that's what I do now. And so I've read books. I probably have several hundred books next to me here. There's some in the living room. There's some in my bedroom. So there's some fantastic stuff that it may have started with Paul Chek's How to Eat, Move, and Be Healthy. There's Gary Taubes, Good Calories, Bad Calories. There's Deep Nutrition by Dr. Kate Shanahan. There's just so many. There's Primal Blueprint by Mark Sisson. There's the Primal or the Paleo Solution, Rob Wolf, and just kind of Lights Out by T.S. Wiley is a really good one as well. So I've kind of just read as many books as I can. Price Pottinger Nutrition Foundation is an organization actually here in San Diego. They're in Lemon Grove that, this is what they're all about, like finding out of the mainstream information and providing it to the people. So I used to spend a lot of time there, just, going there every couple of weeks and picking up a few books and reading them. And that's where most of the information is coming from. Now, it's not only just reading the books, it's also the fact that I get to interview authors, which, kind of allows me to go a little bit deeper with them, so I can really go straight to the horse's mouth on these things. So I'm very privileged to be able to do that.
So, your book, The Darkside of Fat Loss, besides just eating real food, what was the premise behind that book?
The premise is that fat loss and health in general goes way beyond diet and exercise. It's not just calories in, calories out type of thing. One of the courses that I took was called Functional Diagnostic Nutrition. And the reason why I took it is because when I was personal training, I wanted to do something else. I knew that there was pieces of the puzzle that I wasn't quite covering with the exercise component and the diet work that I've been doing with my clients. And one of my clients' name was Francesca, and she came in. I remember the first time I met her. I remember she had this look on her face. Can you help me? You know what I'm saying? Like, I've been to so many other places. Can you help me, personal trainer, with some nutrition experience? And so she had some bloating going on in her midsection here, and she wanted to get six-pack abs. And I was like, oh, yeah, we'll put you on this metabolic typing diet, and we'll do some exercise, really focus on your core and do all this stuff. And that stuff didn't work. And one day I may have been reading something by Mercola or by Paul Chek, and this is maybe 5-6 years ago, and I found out about food sensitivities. So now food sensitivities can cause this little pooch belly deal, and I referred her out to LEAP MRT, which is a food sensitivity testing company, and they paired her up with Reed Davis. Now Reed Davis is he's a functional diagnostic nutrition practitioner, and so she worked with Reed. And they did some testing, and they found out that she had she had adrenal fatigue, she had a parasite called Blastocystis hominis as well, and they were able to identify it and clean that stuff up, right? Mm-hmm. Through lifestyle and the right protocol and all that. Could I have done what Reed did in the gym? Absolutely not. You can't do that with a diet. You can't do that with, an exercise program. The exercise program, honestly, because her adrenals were so tired, was probably making the situation worse for her. And so I was fascinated by it. And just coincidentally, Reed was teaching his first functional diagnostic nutrition class, like a certification course, downtown at the Ramada. And it was literally 6 or 7 blocks away from me. I sold my TV, which I had just bought, my first flat screen TV. I take it back to Best Buy, and I got my money so I could take that course, and I walked my butt down the street, and I sat there for 2 hours and absorbed the information. And I learned such cool things about health and fitness and fat loss. And the main things, and this is the premise of the book, is that, it's not just diet and exercise, it's your hormones. It's your digestion, it's your detoxification system, it's your immune system, it's your mindset as well. Those are those key factors. How well do you sleep? I always say, if I were to look back and go back to personal training, which I think about every once in a long while, and I were to sit down with a client, I wouldn't just say, hey, how much weight do you want to lose? I would say, how much weight do you want to lose, but how well do you sleep?
How often are you pooping? How's your libido? How's your mood? I would want to know that stuff. I almost want to know that more than I want to know how much fat she wants to lose, because those are the really big things. Because I can say, hey, I can help you lose 20, 30 pounds, but do you want to be 20, 30 pounds lighter, but still not be able to sleep, poop every 3 days, have no libido, which is screwing up your relationship, fluctuating back and forth between depression and anxiety and also feeling normal every once in a while? No, you don't want that. And so, the premise of the book is that, you don't lose fat to get healthy, you get healthy to lose fat. In a perfect world, I'd call the book The Dark Side of Getting Healthy, but nobody wants to buy a book called The Dark Side of Getting Healthy, right? And so, that's what the book's about. And I banged that thing out in like 3 or 4 months, and people frequently tell me, it's not to toot my own horn or anything, but that's the best health book they've ever read, because not only is it informative and it breaks things down, things that they had never heard of down, but it breaks them down in a way that they can understand, and at the same time, it makes them laugh. And I one day I'm gonna get that thing in hardcover, and hopefully you can get it on Amazon and Barnes and Noble and stuff like that. Because that's my baby, man. I put my heart and soul into that, and it's been a few years since I wrote it, but it has helped a lot of people out there. So I'm very proud of that.
No, it's a great book. I've read it a few times myself, and I really enjoy it. The interesting thing about, you're talking about personal training, and, as a trainer myself, you look at the industry and the kind of assessment process that trainers take their clients through now is kind of junk. To take someone through like an overhead squat assessment or whatever it may be, it seems like, based on what you're saying, what they should really be doing is, really kind of taking them through an advanced nutritional assessment, maybe sending that out through, getting their blood panels done or whatever it may be, and then actually doing some kind of diagnostic to find out what kind of issues they have with certain foods or supplements first, right?
Yeah, in a perfect world, that's how I would do it. If I was ever to go back to personal training, it'd be like, hey, I'm going to work with you, but here's 4 test kits I need you to do. Because here's the thing. I've had male clients who have been in and out of the gym for years, working on, trying to get their six pack, trying to get their body back for years, decades. They've been from trainer to practitioner to medical doctor to naturopath, all this stuff, right? And I'll run a few simple tests, not even blood tests like saliva and poop and urine and whatnot, and find that this man has just basement low testosterone levels and high estrogen and just drained adrenal glands. If the guy's got low testosterone and high estrogen, I don't care what he's doing in the gym. He's not going to make very many changes to his body. Yeah. Same thing with the women who I worked with. We see really low testosterone, depleted adrenals, and then you start to look a little bit deeper, like, why is this happening? Most of the time it's something going on in the gut. Like our environment, the foods we eat, all this stuff are causing some major gut dysfunction, everything from leaky gut to parasites to bacterial overgrowth, candida, on and on and on. Food sensitivities, which are a stress on the body. I mean, most people think like, stress is just mental, emotional stress, but you also have internal stressors going on. Your liver might not be working right. Your gut might not be working right. You may not be eliminating waste the way you're supposed to be. And so we look at these tests, and when I would present the results to my clients, they would go, almost all the time, they would go, now it makes sense. And I'd be like, yeah, it makes sense now. I'm really helping this person, because they want to know that they're not crazy. And, we put them on these protocols, and the protocols aren't just all about supplements. It's about, hey, go to bed on time. I would find that my first session with a client after our initial consultation is like, yo, pull up your Google Calendar. Let's make times in your calendar to eat food. I think that's really important. Have breakfast, have lunch, just sit down and have some dinner instead of running around shoving a cereal bar in your face, right? Stuff like that really goes a long way, people. Making sure they're getting out and having fun. I would ask clients, hey, there was a question on my intake forms. It says, do you feel lonely and isolated? And just about all of them checked yes. And I'd be like, hey, when was the last time you hung out with some friends and had some fun? They'd be like, oh, last Christmas? I'm like, dude, it's November. You know what I'm saying? Like, get out, have some fun, enjoy your life. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like a lot of people, they want to isolate themselves because they're afraid that life is making them fat. You know, hanging out with my friends, we go to all these restaurants and I can't help myself but throw down 8 beers and, you know, get the nachos, you know? And I help people with that stuff in addition to the, you know, the more written diet and supplement protocol. At least that's what I used to do. I no longer work with clients on the one-on-one, but it was definitely a joyous time of helping people to get their health back in a way that nobody else was able to figure out.
Yeah. No, I like that process because it just creates so much more precision than just guessing like everyone else does.
Yes. Don't guess. Test. And if anybody's interested in, you know, hiring a practitioner for this, I think it's FDN. That's Frank, Dog, Nancy, FDNselfcare.com. FDNselfcare.com will get you paired up with a practitioner to do this work with you so you can figure this out.
Nice. So, in terms of supplementation, are there certain supplements that you recommend on a regular basis?
I'm not a big supplement guy. Gosh, the only one that I've been taking, this isn't a product plug at all, is Protandim. I take Protandim every day. I've taken it every day for maybe the last 3 or 4 years. It's great for fighting oxidative stress and inflammation. Get your glutathione levels up, which is great for workout recovery and detoxification and antioxidant and whatnot. So that's something I take every single day, every morning. But other than that, I mean, you know, I might do some branched chain amino acids every once in a while. You know what I'm saying? Just it seriously in the gym, but that's really it. I'm not really much into supplements. I used to take bottles and bottles of supplements. Now I just eat real food. I can probably use some multivitamin. I should actually add one to my little regimen, but that's really all it. Yeah.
What about your workouts? You know, what do your workouts look like throughout the week?
Dude, I'm in shape right now. I am in shape, man. I moved into this house and I was completely just lost it and just was drinking wine and celebrating with people all the time and just wasn't paying attention to my body. But when we did the thyroid sessions, and it was when this aired in April or May, looking at those videos, I was like, damn, Sean, you're a little chubby, buddy. You know what I'm saying? To be the health guy doing this series of videos on thyroid and health, I was like, you're not looking the part, and nor are you feeling as good as you usually do. And so I started hitting the gym. I've been in the gym at least 5 days a week, lifting. I go to yoga. I go to Sculpt, core yoga, which is a real ass kicker. And like, I am legitimately in good shape. Like, sometimes I work out with guys early in the morning over at the Asset Rec Center, and they're like, yo, like, aren't you our age? You know what I'm saying? It's like, yeah, man, I'm feeling good. So anyway, what do I do? You know, I'm doing a lot of like, almost CrossFit type of stuff now, mixed in with some like old school bodybuilding stuff. And so, you know, thrusters, I love doing deadlifts and whatnot. You know, still jumping on the bench press and doing all that stuff. And so, you know, I really don't make a science out of it at all. I just go in there and I lift. You know, just like Just Eat Real Food, you know, making things so complicated, I go into this gym and I just freaking lift. And I get my heart rate up, and sometimes intervals on the treadmill or on the step mill. And like I said, the Sculpt kicks my butt. And that's really it. You know what I'm really into right now?
What's that?
Is my up. You know about the up?
What's
the little
that?
thing
Oh,
you put
yeah,
around
the
your
wristband.
wrist? Those are dope. I won one in some affiliate contest, and it just sat in my dresser for a long time, and I was like, no, let me try this thing out. I had no idea, because I work from home, I had no idea how sedentary I was being. Mm-hmm. I was like, yo, I'm walking like 1,000 steps a day. This is all bad, right? And so I set my goal at least 10,000 steps a day, and so now like, I'll check my stats on my phone. I'm like, okay, you need to go on a walk, you need to go do something, you need to go out front and shoot some hoops or something. And so that's really kept me accountable. You know, this silly little thing that I think was going to make a difference at all has been huge in me getting in better shape.
Wow. Yeah, sometimes those little things can make such a big difference.
Yeah, and since, you know what the big thing is? It's like, don't live downtown anymore. Like, yeah. I live downtown. You live downtown, you walk everywhere, right? Yep. You're walking all over the place. Now I live out in the burbs. I don't walk anywhere. I mean, the only place to walk is on the freeway over here. And so
Yeah, so that little wristband thing has really made a huge difference in quantifying how active I am throughout the day.
That's awesome. Tell me about some books that you're reading right now.
Right now, I'm reading The Value Factor by John D. Martini, which everybody right now needs to go to Amazon and order because it's one of the best books I've read in a very, very long time. And, basically what that's about is like your life is a reflection of what's important to you. And so, you may be able to apply this to the people who you work with. And you probably read about this in Chapter 10 of Darkside of Fat Loss about, people who come to you and they say, oh my God, I've been trying to lose weight for 10 years and, nothing works. And if you were to ask that person, what do you value in life? Like, what's important to you? And, they might say, oh, doing my job to the best of my ability is important to me. You work downtown, and so I bet you hear that one all the time. My social life, my family life, making sure my family is protected and taken care of, my faith, traveling, huge, on and on. And you get them to talk about these things, and at some point you start to go, there's something really big missing here, and it's health. There's a lot of people out there who sabotage themselves when it comes to getting healthy and getting fit because in the grand scheme of things, it's just really not that healthy. I mean, it's just really not that important, I should say, for them. And so that's really what the values factor is about, is like when you set a goal that doesn't line up with your values, you're going to get self-sabotage. There's no way you can't get self-sabotage. And then at some point, you start looking to external people to help you get through it. So you hire a trainer. You think that's going to make the biggest difference. But then you find out, a month into your training program that, you're finding these very convenient reasons to not show up to your session. That's just your psyche and your mindset and your values just saying, hey, this isn't really that important. And so, the crux of the book there is, hey, if you can find, like if you're trying to get healthy and you're sabotaging yourself because it's something that you don't value, find 100, 200, 300 ways in which getting healthier, getting fit, getting leaner, whatever it may be, is going to benefit the things that you value most in life. How's it going to help you to carry out your job and your work better? How it's going to help you with your faith, your ability to travel. You might be able to go sightseeing more and not keep the rest of the group back. You might be able to fit into your plane seat better and not make the dude next to you or the girl next to you uncomfortable. How's it going to make your family life better? You're going to be able to play with your kids. You're going to have, more secure, comfortable sex with your partner because you're more confident in your body. Stuff like that. So if you can link them, health to what you value in life, then the fire gets lit underneath you, and you don't have to deal with that self-sabotage anymore because it becomes more important when you see how it affects the rest of your life. And so that's what that book's about. I just read Keto Clarity. I'm about 3/4 of the way through that with Jimmy Moore, who was on my podcast yesterday. It was one of my favorite shows I've done ever. And what else do I have going on? I just got done reading for the second time, and there's another book that everybody needs to read. It's called Your Mind is What Your Brain Does for a Living. Worst title for a book ever, but it is a book that everybody needs to read. Just about how, it's about our behavior and how we kind of get on automatic pilot in certain situations. Things kind of trigger us and why we go off on people, why we overreact. And it's a way of training your brain to create these new pathways that are going to kind of supersede or replace, we'll say, some of the old behavior patterns that you have. And also talks about where they come from. Usually it's from childhood or something like that. But really, really good book. So that's what I've got going on. I usually just read one book at a time, but because of the radio show, I had to put one down and pick up the two for this week.
Nice. Earlier you were talking about how important your thoughts and your mindset are to improving your health and fat loss. What are some best practices people can do, on a regular basis to kind of improve their mindset, improve their thoughts?
This is good. This is really good. I don't make YouTube videos anymore, but I made a video about this. This is one of my last videos I made on YouTube. And I read some NLP books back in the day, and I think the book is... Oh, it's going to come to me in just a second. Hang on. Structure of Magic.
Nice.
Volume 1. And what that book is about, it's a therapy book, really, but it's looking at your language. And there's something generalizations, deletions, and distortions. So you might have this dialogue in your head, for example, that says, nobody likes me, right? You have to understand what that is. It's just talk. That talk in your head isn't really you, but sometimes you will buy into it and believe that it is. You got to ask yourself, is it really true that nobody has ever liked you before? That's not true.
No.
You know, exactly. There are people who like you, but you keep believing this thing. You are generalizing maybe one situation to mean that's what always is. I always get into trouble. I always fall off my workout program. These are just generalizations, and we have to act. This is what I do, because I still get negative thoughts. They're nowhere near as bad as they used to be. It used to be crazy, but I still get negative thoughts. It's like you take it and you look at it and you go, "That's not true." You know what I'm saying? Get there, or there can be delete things from what we've experienced. You may experience the most amazing relationship in the history of the world, but you've kind of deleted it from your memory, and then all of the bad stuff that's ever happened to you is what we put in the forefront. And so it's a really good video. If you look on my YouTube channel, it's probably like the 5th or 6th one down, because it was one of the last ones that I made. And it's a good, I think, 15 minutes on this. And so that look is great. And, that's what I'll offer on that one, is just really look at what your mind is saying to you and ask yourself if it's true or not.
Awesome. I like that a lot. It's interesting how much the dynamic has changed for information. People can get information so quickly now, and it seems that people are so much more well-informed, which is pretty awesome. Where do you think, kind of health and fitness is going for people, considering the information flow nowadays?
I think health and fitness, the truth about health and fitness is in a place right now where it's never been, in a good way. If you go on iTunes and you look at the top 10 podcasts, for example, on the fitness and nutrition section, it's like Bulletproof Exotic, Dave Asprey, who's like putting the real truth out there. It's Jillian Michaels, who is still in the mainstream, right? But next to Jillian Michaels, you're going to have Fat Burning Man, who's also doing really cool stuff, eating the truth about health and fitness out there. You're going to have Diane Sanfilippo and Liz Wolf and their Balanced Bites podcast. You're going to have Ben Greenfield. We're going to have you. We've got Underground Wellness Radio. We have all of these truthers, we'll say, in health and fitness space, actually getting the word out there. It's wild, because if you would have rewound, 9-10 years ago, it would have been mainstream crap that people were listening to and believing. They're getting stuff. They're like, yo, this isn't working very well. And so they're actually starting to look at different sources of information, and they're finding it resonates with them a lot more. I was thinking about this the other day. My old exercise physiology teacher, we used to just battle, by email after I graduated. I'm like, yo, I learned this in your class, and here's what I learned, in this other book I read. And I think your shit's wrong, pardon my French. And, we would go back and forth, and we would talk a lot about, like, saturated fat and, things like that. And now it's like, cover of Time magazine, fast forward 6-7 years, it's like, yo, I told you, and so, that old school thinking is apparently on its way out, and I'm getting more and more email from, college students and, grad students, PhD students who are like, yo, I love your podcast, and it frustrates the hell out of me that I paid all of this money to go to this school and learn everything, or I should say everything. 50% of the stuff that I'm learning here is totally wrong, because my professors are stuck in the old way of thinking about things. And so we're moving in the right direction, and there's a group of young people out there who are going to be, coming through the ranks, and, they're going to be the ones in the future, with the doctor before their name, the PhDs and whatnot, who are talking about what we're talking about. And so it's just only going to get better. It's just going well. It's just so awesome. The time that we live in, because, we have all these means of communicating our message. We have social media, we have Twitter, we have Skype, we have podcasts, we have, YouTube, we have WordPress, we have all of these things to get the message out. And so we're in a time like no other, and it's definitely not going away. And so that old school calories in, calories out, cut your saturated fat and eat soy and all this other crap, it's very soon going to be going by the wayside.
Awesome. Are there any certain resources online, like blogs or certain websites that you like to read often?
Honestly, I don't read anybody's stuff. I'll keep real with you. I read books. I don't like to read blogs. I don't like to listen to anybody's podcasts. I don't like to watch anybody else's YouTube videos. And the reason why is because I feel like it's going to screw up my creativity. I'll be like, "Ooh, that's cool. I want to do something like that." You know what I mean? I like to keep everything just me. If I come up with an idea, I want to do it. I don't want to look at anybody else's stuff. And so that's just, but from what I understand, Chris Kresser's site is really awesome. He's on the cutting edge of information out there. Rob Wolf, robwolf.com, is great as well. I think Diane's got some good stuff, balancebites.com. So, and you'll probably find links on those sites. They'll take you to other credible sites as well. For undergroundwellness.com as well. But you can find all that stuff on iTunes and Blog Talk Radio, mostly.
So what are some of your sites that the audience and the listeners can check out?
Well, it's undergroundwellness.com. Most of the traffic that we get is on iTunes, though, and Blog Talk Radio and YouTube.com/undergroundwellness. Let's see, what else? We're on Facebook, Facebook.com/undergroundwellness. Instagram is on Croxton. UG Wellness is Twitter. We have all these different names, which is kind of a big booger, but yeah, Facebook is where I spend quite a bit of time. Facebook.com/undergroundwellness. Yeah.
What about your book? Where can they get your book?
Darkside of Fat Loss.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah, and be on the lookout. We got the digestion sessions coming up in November, so that's going to be about 20 on-camera interviews with experts about digestion. We're covering everything: constipation, diarrhea, gas, belching, bloating, everything you can think of about your digestion. We're going to have the solutions from the world's top experts. It's going to rock.
That's awesome. Cool. Are there anything that you want to leave any things you want to leave the audience with before we close out?
Just eat real food.
Yep.
Stop overthinking things. Have fun. I think you only live life once. And that's really it. Listen to my podcast because it's freaking awesome.
There we go. Nice. All right, man. Thank you for joining us today on Subscribe Radio. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.